Welcome to my revision of the book I wrote to teach homeschoolers world history. A Bible believer looks at world history. So I'm going to pick it up where I left off last time. Tradition states that while in prison, one of the founders of the Chu dynasty in China, Wen Wang, wrote the Book of Changes, or I Ching. This book is still used, and I used it in high school and college. The I Ching is a book of divination, a pagan satanic book based on what the Chinese call the eight Kwa, or mystic trigrams invented by legendary Emperor Fu Xi. These trigrams are identified with the laws and elements of nature. Each trigram consists of three lines and some continuous and representing the male principle, or yang, some broken, representing the female principle of yin. Yang represented the positive, active, and heavenly principle of light, heat, and life, while yin represented the negative, passive, and earthly principle of darkness, cold, and death. You would think that neither Fu Xi nor Wen Wang had much of a liking for women, would you? Wen Wang doubled the number of strokes and raised the possible number of combinations of broken and unbroken lines to 64. All science and history were supposed to be found in that book. All knowledge, even, was to be contained in it. Confucius, the most famous of Chinese philosophers, edited a volume and declared that it ranked above all other writings. Wen Wang's work allegedly took place in the early 12th century BC. The Shang dynasty, under which Wang may have been imprisoned, would have ended at that time or a couple of hundred years later, around 1050 BC, depending on who you read. Both Shang and Shu dynasties used horse-drawn chariots, organized armies, and human sacrifice as a means of governing and religious expression. Ancestor worship was very important, and gifts and food and wine were brought to special places and temples to keep the ancestors happy. The Shang used oracle bones, which they called dragon bones, to communicate with their ancestors by heating them until they cracked and then reading the cracks. Remember, even in the ancient Near East, there was a sort of backhanded ancestor worship, as even the main gods of Assyria can be traced back to Noah's sons or grandsons, Asher, Genesis 10. Not surprisingly, the rich lived in large palaces, drank out of bronze cups, and were buried in lavish tombs, while the poor lived in squalor and poverty. The peasant farmers lived in thatched roof huts with mud walls in winter and in bamboo huts near the rice fields in summer. Disease was rampant due to always working, standing in water in the rice paddies. Now, I'm going to discuss something that comes up time and time again about rampant die offs and plagues next. So I hope that you get something out of this, and please click like if you do watch it. Thank you.